You're probably sitting at your desk, scrolling through endless reviews, wondering if you're about to drop a few $100s on a NAS that will just sit there, gathering dust. The fear of buying the wrong storage solution is real, especially when you've got photos, videos, work documents, and a growing media library that need a safe home. You don't want to waste money on a box that's either overkill or underpowered for your everyday needs, and you definitely don't want to set it up and discover weeks later that it can't handle the tasks you imagined. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Synology DS223j 2-bay Diskstation, bundled with two 8TB Seagate IronWolf drives, lands itself right in the middle of that decision line. It's marketed as a simple, home-oriented NAS that lets you store, share, and protect files without needing a tech PhD. But does it actually deliver on that promise when you try to use it for real-world scenarios like backing up a family photo archive, streaming movies to a smart TV, or giving a remote coworker access to a shared project folder? Let's walk through what it feels like to set this thing up, what you'll get out of it day to day, and who should walk away before they click Add to Cart. First off, the hardware is modest but purposeful. Inside, there's a Realtek RTD1619B quad-core processor clocked at 1.7 GHz and 1 GB of DDR4 non-ECC RAM. It's not a powerhouse, but for basic file serving, incremental backups, and light media streaming, it's enough. The two 8TB IronWolf drives give you 16 TB of raw capacity right out of the box, which translates to roughly 14.4 TB usable after the RAID 1 mirroring that Synology enables by default. That mirroring is where the protection part comes in. Each file lives on both drives, so if one fails, you don't lose a thing. In practice, families with a handful of laptops and a few mobile devices find this level of redundancy more than sufficient, especially when paired with a secondary off-site backup like an external hard drive or a cloud sync. Setting it up is where the no-detected reclaim gets tested. Synology's Diskstation Manager, DSM, is a web-based interface that you access by plugging the unit into your router, turning it on, and pointing a browser to find.synology.com. The Discovery Wizard walks you through creating the RAID, naming volumes, and assigning user permissions. In my own test, the whole process took under 10 minutes, and the UI felt intuitive. Folders, shared links, and user accounts are all draggable and clearly labeled. The only hiccup was the initial network scan. If your router's DHCP table is crowded, you might need to manually assign a static IP, but that's a one-time tweak. Now, let's talk about daily use. For a typical household that wants to centralize photos, music, and occasional video projects, the DS223j shines in a few concrete ways. The built-in photo station automatically indexes new images, creates thumbnails, and lets you browse albums from any device, phone, tablet, or computer without needing third-party software. I set up a family album, dropped a batch of vacation photos onto a shared folder from my laptop, and within minutes the NAS generated searchable tags based on file names and dates. Watching a movie stored on the NAS through Plex was smooth enough for a 1080p stream on my living room TV. The 1 GB port handled the bandwidth without buffering. If you're a remote worker, the File Station feature lets you create secure links that expire after a set time, making it easy to hand off large design files to a client without emailing gigabytes. However, the DS223j does have practical limits you'll notice once you push past the basics. The 1 GB RAM cap means heavy multitasking, running multiple Docker containers, transcoding 4K video on the fly, or hosting a full-blown surveillance system with dozens of cameras will quickly choke the system. Users who tried to enable real-time video transcoding reported choppy playback and high CPU spikes. Also, the single 1 GB Ethernet port means you can't aggregate bandwidth or set up link redundancy. If your network is already saturated with other devices, you might see slower transfer rates when multiple people pull large files simultaneously. In a small office scenario where several coworkers need to pull gigabytes of data at once, that could become a bottleneck. Another subtle trade-off comes from the bundled drives. The Seagate IronWolf line is optimized for NAS environments, but it's still a consumer-grade drive compared to enterprise-class models. They're reliable for typical home use, yet the warranty is 3 years, and the mean time between failures is lower than the high-end Synology WD Red Pro equivalents. If you're storing irreplaceable raw video footage or critical business records, you might want to consider swapping one of the IronWolfs for a drive with a longer warranty and higher endurance, especially if you plan to run the unit 24/7. Who should buy this? If you're a home user who wants a straightforward way to centralize family media, keep automatic backups of laptops, and occasionally share files with friends, the DS223j hits the sweet spot.